otherwise known as Hut 11, purpose-built to house this machine. The skylight was not here during the war, that was opened up afterwards. You can see the thickness of the ceiling and the walls through those little windows, because it was hoped to be as near as possible bomb-proof, because it housed a bomb, that kind of bomb, which is very, very important to the breaking of the Enigma codes. And it was called the hellhole by the Wrens who worked in here, because the doors had to be shut so that people walking past could not see this machine. And it created a heck of a lot of heat while it was operating. And it was operating 24 hours a day in 8-hour shifts. The Wrens would come in here by bus or whatever, wherever they were billeted, and they would come in here, they would not go to any other part of the park, and that would apply to anybody working in Hut 8 or whatever. They would only go to their hut, or their place of work, except for one hut which was where they could get a cup of tea and relax for a little while. This machine is known now as the Turing bomb, because Alan Turing was mostly responsible for its design and construction. He had the ideas of such a machine, nothing to do with decoding or whatever, but his fascination with mathematics, as he was a brilliant mathematician, that a computing type of machine, and this is electromechanical, it isn't a computer, but it was an idea that he'd been working on in the 1930s. And when he saw this drum system that the Poles were using, it worked very well in with the ideas that he already had. So he built this machine, or designed it, and had it built by International, not tabulating machines, another one in West London. They built it, brought it here to this particular building, and it started to operate. In fact, the first one was the other side of this wall, and it's very similar building. It was not long before we had nearly 200 of these, thanks to the letter to Churchill, because if they wanted it, they got it, and I think there were about 210 in operation altogether, most of them in outstations, even farm buildings, etc. were used to house these machines, and there were quite a number of them in two purpose-built locations in Eastcote, West Middlesex, and Stanmore, West Middlesex, now part of Greater London. The machine itself is designed to beat the Enigma machine at its fastest. And each row of these drums, each with 26 letters of the alphabet all the way around them, represent 3 Enigma machines. How they work, I really don't know. You might get a clue from the orientation film, which is on in B block, which most people are recommended to see at some time or other. It usually helps if you can see it before you start out. However, there is one of these operational bombs in the B block museum, and in that orientation film you see a very, very brief clip of it working. That's the front of it, this is the back of it. We separate it for convenience. The Wrens operating it would receive an instruction from the code breakers. They have what they consider to be a crib, or a clue as to what the rotor settings are for the day. They work this out perhaps from regular phrases being transmitted, regular signals for like weather forecasts, etc. And one very, very helpful operator for a very brief period of time, he used to send the same message every day at the same time. Once decoded, it read in German something to the effect, all quiet, nothing to report. So once they saw a signal from this particular operator, they were getting some very, very useful cribs indeed. And they would phone these cribs through to the Wrens here, and they would then be given a menu from which to set up this particular machine. They would set it up, first of all, by the plug boards interchangeable here. This is only a mock-up, so they don't actually work. This mock-up was on the film set of the film Enigma, and they presented it to Bletchly Park when Kate Winslet had finished with it. There is, as I say, a fully operational one in B block. They had to keep moving these about according to their instructions, and I hope they wore rubber-soled shoes because there wasn't much of a health and safety executive around those days. These terminals carried 210 volts AC. If they touch those, you can imagine. make a little mistake. If they wore good insulating shoes, they'd be all right, as long as they kept them dry.